The Second World War stands as one of the most enigmatic chapters in human history. Characterized by brutal conflicts waged in frozen landscapes, mysterious disappearances on air and in the sea, unidentified flying vessels that outmaneuvered the most advanced aircraft of that period, gold so much it filled an entire city, Soviet spies in the heart of the Allied forces, alien sightings, and even a machine said to have the ability to bend time and space. This is the World War II Iceberg. Don't worry if you are unfamiliar with how an Iceberg YouTube video works. I have you covered. In Iceberg YouTube videos like this, we discuss mysteries that are well known to the general public. Still, the deeper we dive into the list of World War II mysteries, the less known and more cryptic the mysteries become. The Winter War, 1939 through 1940, a mysterious David versus Goliath. Welcome to a chapter of World War II that often slips through the cracks of mainstream history, the Winter War. This David versus Goliath tale, a conflict between the mighty Soviet Union and the small but resilient Finland, is not just a story of war, it is a narrative wrapped in an enigma and filled with lesser-known facts and intriguing mysteries. Let us dive into the icy saga that unfolded between 1939 and 1940, a period where resilience, strategy, and the harsh winter played a crucial role. Why did the Soviet Union, a behemoth with one of the largest armies in the world, decide to invade tiny Finland? Officially, it was for strategic purposes to secure Leningrad. However, some believe there were other, more secretive motives. Was it a testing ground for the Soviet military might or a personal vendetta of Stalin? The true intent remains shrouded in mystery. Outnumbered and outgunned, Finland put up an unexpectedly fierce resistance. The world watched in awe as the Finns employed guerrilla tactics, making the most of their knowledge of the terrain and the harsh winter conditions. The Modi tactics were smaller Finnish units encircled in isolated parts of the larger Soviet forces were devastatingly effective. But was there something more to the Finnish resilience? Stories of superhuman endurance and mysterious hit-and-run attacks fueled rumors of covert support, but from whom? Enter Simo Heihe, nicknamed the White Death. A Finnish sniper credited with over 500 confirmed kills, Heihe became a near-mythical figure. His extraordinary skill and ability to blend into the winter landscape made him a symbol of Finnish resistance. But how did one man achieve such a feat in such a short time? Was Heihe such an exceptionally skilled soldier, or was there a secret technique behind his legendary marksmanship? The Soviet Union's struggle in the Winter War raises questions. Despite their vast resources, they suffered heavy losses. Was it just the harsh winter and Finnish tactics? Or was there internal turmoil within the Soviet military? Conspiracy theories suggest sabotage and dissent within the Soviet ranks, possibly orchestrated by internal or external forces. The Winter War ended as abruptly as it started, with the Moscow Peace Treaty in March 1940. Finland ceded some territory, but maintained its independence. The endgame of this conflict raises questions. Did the Soviets realize a larger victory was unattainable, or were there behind-the-scenes negotiations and deals that led to this unexpected conclusion? The Winter War's legacy is a blend of Finnish heroism, Soviet miscalculations, and a series of unanswered questions. It is a tale that goes beyond the battlefield, hinting at hidden agendas, superhuman feats, and the indomitable spirit of a nation. As history moves forward, the mysteries of the Winter War continue to fascinate and invite speculation. The fate of Raoul Wallenberg, the literal loss of a hero. In the grim shadows of World War II, there emerge stories of heroism that continue to inspire us. One such tale is that of Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat who became a beacon of hope for thousands of Jews in Nazi-occupied Hungary. But this story takes a mysterious turn after the war, leading us into a labyrinth of Cold War espionage, intrigue, and an enduring enigma surrounding his fate. Wallenberg, armed with courage and a humanitarian mission, is credited with saving tens of thousands of Jews by issuing protective passports and setting up safe houses. His actions were nothing short of heroic, but they put him in the crosshairs of powerful enemies. As the war neared its end, Wallenberg's mission attracted not just admiration, but also the watchful eyes of the advancing Soviet forces. In January 1945, Wallenberg was detained by the Soviet Red Army and reportedly taken to Moscow. This is where the mystery deepens. Official Soviet records initially claimed he died of a heart attack in prison in 1947, but these claims were widely disputed. Was this a cover-up for a darker truth? Did Wallenberg become a pawn in the post-war power struggles? Over the years, numerous theories have emerged about Wallenberg's fate. Some believe he was executed by the Soviets, while others claim he was held in the Gulag for years. Intriguingly, there were alleged sightings of Wallenberg in prisons and labor camps well into the 1980s. These accounts, often from fellow prisoners or guards, suggest that Wallenberg might have lived much longer than officially acknowledged. Adding to the mystery is the speculation that Wallenberg's diplomatic work was a facade for intelligence activities. Was he gathering information for the Allies? Could this have led to his prolonged detention by the Soviets, fearful of what secrets he might hold? The murky world of wartime espionage leaves these questions tantalizingly unanswered. Efforts by Wallenberg's family and various governments to uncover the truth have been met with limited success. Russian archives have yielded some clues, but much remains classified or lost in the chaos of post-war restructuring. The lack of definitive proof of his death or survival fuels ongoing speculation and investigation. Raoul Wallenberg's disappearance transformed him from a war hero into a symbol of the Cold War's mysteries and tragedies. His story is not just about the heroism of saving lives, but also about the perplexing machinations of global politics. The literal loss of this hero leaves us with a historical puzzle, one that resonates with the intrigue of espionage, the horrors of war, and the enduring quest for truth and justice. SS Orang Medan, the ghost ship. In the annals of maritime lore, few stories are as chilling and shrouded in mystery as that of the SS Orang Medan. Dubbed the Ghost Ship, this vessel's tale is a blend of unexplained phenomena, eerie happenings, and a crew's tragic fate. Let us set sail into the murky waters of this mystery and explore the depths of one of World War II's most haunting maritime mysteries. Our story begins with a series of distress calls intercepted in 1947 or 1948, according to some sources. The messages, reportedly from the Orang Medan, were a cryptic sequence of Morse code. All officers, including the captain, are dead lying in chart room and bridge. Possibly whole crew dead. This was followed by indecipherable Morse code and a final chilling message: I die. When the first rescue vessel reached the Orang Medan, a horrific sight awaited. The entire crew was found dead, their eyes wide open, faces twisted in fear, arms stretching out as if to fend off a fearsome foe. The ship's dog was also found dead, frozen in a gnarly snarl. Strangely, there were no signs of injuries on the bodies or the ship. What happened aboard the Orang Medan? The theories range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some suggest they were victims of carbon monoxide poisoning, or a clandestine shipment of hazardous materials like nerve agents or illegal chemicals. Others speculate about paranormal activities, extraterrestrial interference, or even a curse. Adding to the intrigue, when a rescue team attempted to tow the Orang Medan to port, the ship mysteriously caught fire. It exploded, sinking to the bottom of the sea. This conveniently destroyed any physical evidence, leaving the story in the realm of conjecture and folklore. Further deepening the mystery is the fact that there are no reliable records of the Orang Medan's construction, owner, or country of origin. It's as if the ship never existed, except in the testimonies of those who witnessed the aftermath. Was the Orang Medan a ghost ship from the start? Its story a fabrication? Or was it erased from records to hide something more sinister? Some conspiracy theorists suggest the Orang Medan was involved in covert during or after the war, possibly transporting looted war treasures or conducting illegal experiments. The lack of historical records only fuels such speculation. Today, The SS Orang Medan remains a captivating mystery, a ghostly vessel that continues to haunt the waters of maritime legend. Its story, a blend of horror, mystery, and unresolved questions, captures our fascination with the unknown and unexplained. Rudolf Hess's solo flight, a mission of peace or folly. In the throes of World War II, a singular event stands out as a real head-scratcher: the solo flight of Rudolf Hess, Adolf Hitler's deputy Führer, to Scotland. On May 10, 1941, Hess took off in a Messerschmitt Bf 110, embarking on a mission that would forever remain an enigmatic chapter in the history of the war. Was it a rogue peace attempt, a covert operation, or a descent into madness? Hess, a high-ranking Nazi official, seemingly defied all logic and reason by flying solo to the United Kingdom. His stated objective was to negotiate peace with the British, bypassing the official channels of diplomacy. But why would a man so close to Hitler undertake such a perilous and unauthorized mission? Did he genuinely believe he could single-handedly change the course of the war, or were there hidden motives at play? Upon landing in Scotland, Hess was promptly arrested. The British were baffled by his arrival. Despite his high rank, they treated him as a prisoner of war, and his peace overtures were met with skepticism. This raises the question, did Hess possess secret information or proposals that were never fully explored or disclosed? Back in Germany, Hitler denounced Hess's flight as the act of a madman. But was this genuine dismay or a calculated response to a failed covert operation? Some theorize that Hess's flight was part of a more complex scheme orchestrated by Hitler himself, perhaps to gauge the British resolve or as a distraction from the impending invasion of the Soviet Union. There is speculation that Hess was involved in secret negotiations with elements within the British government or intelligence services. Did he have contacts in Britain sympathetic to a peace deal, or was he lured into a trap? The presence of prominent figures like the Duke of Hamilton, whom Hess sought upon landing, adds to the intrigue. After the war, Hess was tried at Nuremberg and sentenced to life imprisonment. He spent the rest of his life in Spandau prison, where he died under mysterious circumstances in 1987. The secrecy surrounding his imprisonment and the strict control over his interactions fuels theories about what secrets he might have held. Rudolf Hess's flight has been a fertile ground for conspiracy theories. Some suggest he was a doppelganger sent to deceive the British. Others believe he carried with him a secret peace treaty proposal or information about Nazi war plans. The lack of concrete evidence and the tight-lipped approach of both the British and Soviet governments during his imprisonment only amplify these theories. Rudolf Hess's flight remains one of World War II's most baffling episodes. Was it a desperate bid for peace, a misguided act of delusion, or a calculated move in the shadowy world of wartime espionage? The truth, entangled in a web of secrecy and speculation, might never fully surface, leaving Hess's flight an unresolved paradox. The L-8 blimp mystery, a vanishing crew. Amidst the backdrop of World War II, a peculiar and unsettling incident occurred off the coast of California. The case of the Love 8 blimp, also known as the L-8 blimp. This seemingly routine patrol mission turned into an enduring mystery when the blimp returned without its crew, presenting a baffling scenario that has puzzled historians and conspiracy theorists alike. On August 16, 1942, the L-8 blimp, manned by Lieutenant Ernest Cody and Ensign Charles Adams, embarked on an anti-submarine patrol over the Pacific. The mission was expected to be eventful. However, hours into the flight, the blimp radioed in, saying they wanted to investigate an oil spill, which is a sign a submarine might be in the area. But after that, there was no further radio contact. What unfolded next was a series of events that would culminate in one of the war's strangest mysteries. The L-8 was spotted hours later, drifting aimlessly. When it eventually crashed in a suburban area of Daly City, rescuers rushed to aid the crew, only to find the gondola empty. The crew had vanished without a trace. Parachutes, life jackets, and other emergency equipment were still on board, untouched. This raised an immediate question. What compelled the experienced crew to abandon a perfectly operational blimp? The Navy's investigation yielded more questions than answers. There were no signs of foul play, struggle, or evident mechanical failures. The radio was functioning, and there were no distress calls. The doors of the gondola were open, which was unusual for a blimp in flight. Did the crew encounter something or someone that prompted a hasty and unrecorded exit? Conspiracy theories abound in the absence of concrete explanations. Some suggest they were captured by a Japanese submarine, although no evidence supports this claim. Others speculate about espionage, a secret mission gone awry, or even an encounter with a UFO, given the war's heightened tension and the mystery surrounding aerial phenomena. Despite extensive searches, no trace of Cody and Adams was ever found. Their disappearance remains one of the few unsolved cases of missing military personnel from World War II. The absence of distress signals or a goodbye note deepens the puzzle. The L-8 blimp incident remains a tantalizing and eerie unsolved mystery. It has inspired documentaries, books, and new, each attempting to fill the void left by the missing crew. The L-8 blimp, now a curious footnote in the annals of wartime history, continues to float in the public imagination as a symbol of unexplained phenomena and wartime secrets. The sinking of the USS Indianapolis, a tale of survival. July 30th, 1945. The USS Indianapolis, the same ship that delivered the atomic bomb components for Hiroshima, is cruising towards the Philippines. Suddenly, out of nowhere, BAM! 2 deadly torpedoes hit, and the ship goes down like a rock. Chaos ensues, and the initial death toll is staggering. Over 1,000 sailors lost. But here's where it gets gut-wrenching. Over 900 sailors found themselves in the water, facing dehydration, exposure, and the uninvited guests of the deep sharks. You heard that right. Survivors talk about the chilling reality of sharks circling, feeding on the bodies of fallen comrades. Can you imagine the horror? For almost 5 agonizing days, these guys are adrift, dealing with injuries, shark attacks, and the desperate struggle for water. Some even made the tragic mistake of drinking seawater, which, believe it or not, only makes things worse. It's like a nightmare you cannot wake up from. Then, on the brink of despair, a glimmer of hope appears. An aircraft on a routine flight spots them. But here's the kicker. By that time, out of the 900, only 316 are left. They're hanging on by a thread, and you could bet they have got stories that would make your hair stand on end. In a controversial decision, Captain Charles McVeigh III was court-martialed and convicted for failing to zigzag to evade enemy submarines. Many view this as an unjust scapegoating for a larger failure within the Navy's command structure. Decades later, efforts to clear his name highlighted the case's complexities and the burden of command during wartime. It remains a mystery why the rescue took its sweet time and the distress signals seemed to vanish into thin air. Questions linger about why help arrived so late and why the distress calls went unnoticed. It is a mystery that adds another layer of heartbreak to this already tragic tale. The sinking of the USS Indianapolis isn't just a war story. It is a profound reminder of the sacrifices made during World War II. These sailors faced unimaginable odds, and their survival is a testament to the human will to endure even in the darkest of times. Mid-level, intermediate layers. The V1 and the V2, the angels of death. The Germans turned war into a full-on lifestyle. These folks were serious about it, and when it came to weapons, they were the cool kids on the block. Enter the V1 and V2 rockets, also known as the buzzer of death. These bad boys weren't your average missiles. They were the rock stars of military tech at the time, giving the Allied nations some serious food for thought. The V1 and V2 rockets represented a quantum leap in military technology. The V2 in particular was the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile, the brainchild of Wernher von Braun and his team. That they laid the groundwork for post-war space exploration and ICBM development. But was their creation purely a product of scientific progress, or were there darker, more esoteric influences at play? Now, the V1 was like the rebel of the duo. You could shoot it down or intercept it once it took off, but good luck stopping it once it's on the move. Britain found itself on the wrong end of a missile barrage, causing a major headache. These V1 missiles needed some fancy launching machines and had a bit of a hit or miss targeting system, making them more of a random destruction tool than a precision strike. But hold on, the Germans weren't satisfied with just that. They went back to the drawing board and cooked up the V2, the upgraded, faster, and more accurate version. No need for those bulky launch machines anymore. They were like the speed demons of the missile world. Too quick for anti-air guns and planes. The fancy guidance system. They found their targets before anyone could say incoming. Unluckily, for parts of France, Britain, and Belgium, they got the brunt of the V2's deadly dance. The development of these rockets at the secret Peenemünde Army Research Center is shrouded in mystery. There are rumors of bizarre experiments, advanced propulsion technologies, and even contact with unknown entities. Some conspiracy theories suggest that the Nazis had access to alien technology or ancient arcane knowledge that contributed to these advanced weapons. Could there be a kernel of truth in these outlandish claims? The production of V1 and V2 rockets in underground facilities like Middlework was marked by the extensive use of forced labor, leading to thousands of deaths and unspeakable suffering. However, some speculate that this was part of a larger, sinister agenda. Was the use of forced labor merely a byproduct of war, or part of a ritualistic or ideological pursuit hidden in the guise of military necessity? Here's the twist. These weapons of destruction were fashionably late to the war party. Thankfully, they didn't get a chance to change the game's outcome, sparing more lives than the chaos they could have caused. It is a crazy chapter in history that makes you appreciate the fact that timing is everything, even in the world of war. The V1 and V2 rockets left a legacy that goes beyond their immediate impact. They symbolize the duality of scientific progress, the capacity for both creation and destruction. But beneath this lies a deeper, more unsettling narrative. Rumors of occult influences, extraterrestrial contacts, and dark rituals continue to swirl around these weapons, making them a subject of fascination for those drawn to the war's most mysterious aspects. Operation Anthropoid, a tale of resistance and poetic justice. In the year 1942, Prague was under the occupation of the Nazi regime, and at the center of this regime was a high-ranking Nazi official named Reinhard Heydrich, also known as the Butcher of Prague. This man was not just a key figure in the Nazi hierarchy, he has also been called the architect of the very infamous and very inhumane Holocaust. It comes as no surprise that this is a man Hitler described himself as a man with an iron heart. During the Nazi occupation of Prague, Reinhard Heydrich showed no mercy to Prague natives who refused to be Germanized. The consequences were often severe, leading to incarceration and cold-blooded murder. Operation Anthropoid saw a group of Czechoslovakian resistance fighters team up with the British to hatch an audacious plan to assassinate the Butcher of Prague. On May 27, 1942, Jan Kubis and Josef Gabčík executed the plan to kill Heydrich. They ambushed Heydrich's car, but were faced with unexpected challenges. They could only manage to wound Heydrich, but would live to see another day. However, after the attack, his days were numbered. After 8 days of excruciating pain from his injuries, the iron-hearted Nazi official met his demise. Operation Anthropoid might have succeeded, but the consequences for the Czechs were severe. Hitler and his higher-ups were infuriated by the assassination. They vaguely linked the assassins to the small village of Lidice, which Hitler descended on with a vengeance. The Nazi wrath ensured every man, woman, and child of all ages were killed in cold blood. The only silver lining is that the people involved in the massacre of Lidice were put on trial and hung to death. Operation Anthropoid may have had far-reaching consequences, but it nonetheless stands as proof of courage and determination in the face of tyranny. The mysterious case of the death of Admiral Yamamoto, Operation Vengeance. Admiral Yamamoto wasn't just any military mind, he was the brains behind the infamous Pearl Harbor attack. hitting the US hard with a surprise that was planned to lethal perfection. Fast forward to 1942, and Yamamoto's still causing a ruckus with Operation I Go in the Solomon Islands. He's got a flight to Bougainville for a little inspection tour, but oops, someone spilled the beans on his schedule through a secret code on the radio. The US Air Force gets wind of it, and well, you don't pass up on the chance to take down a big player in the Japanese military, right? Major John W. Mitchell takes charge of Operation Vengeance, crafting a flight plan with more twists and turns than a spy novel. Now, Yamamoto's no slouch. He's got an armed escort fitting for a big shot. But that doesn't save him when Major Mitchell and his squad swoop in, giving the Admiral a taste of his own medicine. A surprise ambush that takes him out of the game. Now, here's where the mystery deepens. How did the US get hold of such classified intel? It's the million-dollar question. Some say it was all about code-breaking magic, intercepting and deciphering Yamamoto's flight plans like a high-stakes game of chess. Others throw in the spy card, suggesting informants or undercover agents in the Japanese military spilled the beans. If it was a spy, hats off. That person nailed the assignment. The intrigue doesn't stop there. The mysterious circumstances of Yamamoto's death and the unanswered questions about the intel keep historians and military buffs scratching their heads. It is like a real-life spy thriller that's still sparking debates and speculation, adding another layer to the enigma that is World War II. Operation Mincemeat, a dead man's deception. Operation Mincemeat is the operation that established the British as the sly tricksters of World War II, pulling off one of the most genius moves in the game, Operation Mincemeat. So, after Hitler had his not-so-friendly occupation of Greece, the Allies needed to hit back hard, especially at the Germans. But here's the twist. The Brits knew they couldn't outmuscle the Axis forces, so they cooked up a plan that involved a dead guy. Yeah, you heard me right. In 1943, an MI5 genius had a light bulb moment. They decided to plant fake papers, all detailed plans about attacking Greece and Sardinia. The catch? It was a grand misdirection to divert the Axis powers from their real target, Sicily. Now, enter Glyndŵr Michael, a homeless dude who had met his end 7 months earlier after downing rat poison. The Brits dressed him up as a Royal Marines officer, stuffed his pockets with those fake attack plans, and tossed him into the sea like he had taken a wrong turn and drowned. The Axis powers took the bait hook, line, and sinker. They geared up for an attack on Greece and Sardinia, thinking they were the clever ones. Imagine their faces when they realized the British had played them like a fiddle. The Brits went full steam ahead, successfully hitting Sicily and saving thousands of lives in the process. Operation Mincemeat isn't just a cool name, it is a masterclass in wartime deception and strategic brainpower. The planning was meticulous, the secrecy was on point, and the role it played in the Allied invasion of Sicily makes it a standout, enigmatic chapter in World War II's history of military intelligence. It's like the Brits pulled off the ultimate sleight of hand, and the Axis fell for it, and gave the Allied forces a much-needed victory. The Battle of Los Angeles, Smoke and Shadows. February 25th, 1942. A night wrapped in uncertainty over Los Angeles. World War II was in full swing, and the recent haunting memories of Pearl Harbor had everyone on edge. The West Coast had his eyes peeled to the Pacific skies, ready for anything. As darkness settled, Los Angeles residents were treated to a surprise, and not the pleasant kind. Witnesses started babbling about bizarre stuff in the sky, UFOs, unidentified flying objects, or just weird aerial phenomenon. You can imagine the whispers and rumors about an impending enemy attack stirring up the anxiety levels. Well, cue the military hustle. Radar operations and ground observers kicked into gear, sounding the alarm about this supposed threat. Suddenly, the LA night turned into a chaotic theater, with searchlights doing a wild dance and anti-aircraft guns manned like they were expecting the sky to fall. And then, boom! The night exploded in the sound of anti-aircraft artillery, flashing lights, booming guns, It was like a war movie. Only this was the real deal. The military threw everything they had at those supposed targets, hoping to keep the city safe. But as hours passed, amidst the chaos, there was a plot twist. No enemy planes in sight, no wreckage, nada. It was like the city had fought a battle against shadows, and the shadows had won. As dawn broke, LA woke up to a bizarre scene. Smoke hanging in the air, confusion reigning supreme. That massive anti-aircraft show didn't stop an attack. It birthed a mystery. No enemy planes, no invaders, just a sky full of questions and uncertainty. Official statements tried to downplay the whole thing, blaming it on war nerves or maybe some weird weather twist. But let's be real, the public wasn't buying it. The Battle of Los Angeles became the stuff of legend, a mystery wrapped in a riddle. Some military folks swear they saw UFOs that night, moving in ways that screamed not made by humans. Others think it was just the enemy pulling a fast one to test LA's anti-aircraft game. Whatever it was, that night in 1942 left its mark on LA's history, becoming the ultimate head-scratcher and sparking ongoing fascination with the strange happenings in its skies. The enigmatic journey of Subhas Chandra Bose. The charismatic freedom fighter, Subhas Chandra Bose, aka Netaji, left an incredible mark on India's fight for independence. This guy was a force to be reckoned with, leading the charge against British rule and stirring up a storm in the Indian National Congress. In the thick of India's struggle, Bose wasn't just talking the talk, he was walking the walk. He went all out, rallying support and forging alliances to bolster India's quest for freedom. His big move? Creating the Indian National Army, INA, a powerhouse of Indian prisoners of war and expats in Southeast Asia. Bose's leadership turned the INA into a formidable force, joining hands with the Japanese against the British in Southeast Asia during World War II. This dude knew how to bring Indians together, no matter their background, all under the INA banner. Talk about dedication to the cause. But here's where the plot thickens. World War II ends, and in 1945, boom. Reports hit that Bose bites the dust in a plane crash in Taiwan. Official declarations, global mourning, the whole shebang. Yet, the mystery starts here. No wreckage found, no clear reason for the crash. Did the engine conk out? Did someone shoot the plane down? Heck, some even threw in the wild theory of alien abduction mid-flight. Even after his supposed demise, the legend of Netaji lives on. Tales of sightings and mysterious encounters pop up, suggesting he might have pulled a Houdini on us. Rumor has it, he faked his own death, choosing a covert life as a spy for his nation, away from the limelight. The lack of concrete proof just adds more spice to the Bose saga, making it a tale wrapped in mystery and draped in the enigma of a man who fought for freedom with every trick up his sleeve. The Foo Fighters. Alright, buckle up for a wartime mystery that's straight out of the X-Files. The Foo Fighters phenomenon. Picture this, World War II, the skies are a battleground, and fighter planes are pulling off aerial aerobatics. It's Top Gun, but in real life. Now, in the thick of this airborne chaos, pilots start buzzing about something strange. Luminous orbs or glowing balls of light doing the impossible. We are talking wild maneuvers that defy the laws of physics, zipping around like they own the place. Allied pilots, trying to make sense of it all, dubbed them Foo Fighters, borrowing the term from a comic strip because why not? These things weren't picky about who they followed, Allied or Axis, it didn't matter. Everyone was scratching their heads, wondering what the heck was going on in the skies. The Foo Fighters were like the mystery guests at a party. No one knew who invited them or why they were there. The buzz around these mysterious objects added an extra layer of tension to an already nerve-wracking situation. Despite all the reports and attention, no one could explain what these things were. The pilots were left with more questions than answers, and the term Foo Fighters became synonymous with a head-scratcher. People threw around theories like confetti at a parade. Some said secret weapons or experimental enemy aircraft. Others blamed it on wonky weather or natural quirks. But in the end, the Foo Fighters kept their secrets, leaving World War II with a touch of the unexplained, a sprinkle of mystery that still has us scratching our heads today. The legend of Yamashita's gold, the lost gold of the legendary general. The legend of Yamashita's gold begins with General Tomoyuki Yamashita, leading the charge through Southeast Asia like a wartime Robin Hood. But instead of robbing the rich to give to the poor, he is amassing a treasure trove of gold and priceless loot from all the territories he conquers. Now, we are not talking pocket change here. We are talking about a legendary stash, gold, artifacts, you name it. The rumor mill says Yamashita's gold was so massive that it filled entire houses. However, Yamashita did not like the idea of sharing. As the war winds down, Yamashita goes all in on a secret mission, not to conquer more lands, but to hide his treasure. Rumor has it, he feared the Allies might have their eyes on his gold. Fast forward to today, and the mystery deepens because no one, no treasure hunter, no adventurer, has managed to put their hands on Yamashita's gold. It is like he played the world's best game of hide and seek, and no one's found him yet. People have tried though. Expeditions have ventured into Southeast Asia, armed with maps and determination. But here's the twist. They have faced false leads, local myths, and folklore that has sent them on wild goose chases. The legend of Yamashita's gold isn't just a treasure hunt, it is a puzzle wrapped in mystery, sprinkled with a dash of history. So, there you have it, a general, a war, and a treasure so well hidden that it has become the stuff of legends. As the quest for Yamashita's gold continues, the mystery only grows, leaving us all wondering if this wartime treasure will ever see the light of day. Vanished over the bay, the mystery of Boac Flight 777. This wartime mystery still has people scratching their heads. Boac Flight 777. In 1943, World War II in full swing, and a civilian airliner, Boac Flight 777, takes off from Lisbon to Bristol. On board, travelers. We are talking Leslie Howard, the big shot actor, Kenneth Stonehouse, the ace journalist, and Alfred T. Chenhalls, a high-flying businessman with wartime connections. Now, here's where it gets real Hitchcockian. As the plane cruises over the Bay of Biscay, a dicey wartime zone, poof! It vanishes from radar and radio. No warnings, no distress signals, just gone. Cue the shockwaves and a world wondering, what the heck happened to Flight 777? Chenhalls, being a big shot in wartime industries, amps up the intrigue. Theories start flying. Was it enemy sabotage? Mistaken identity? Or maybe they stumbled into a supernatural Bermuda Triangle situation? Okay, the last one is a bit sci-fi, but you get the drift. Some say the flight got hammered by bad weather, communications down, navigation kaput, leaving them stranded and crashing way off course. Regardless, the lack of wreckage or concrete proof turns this into a head-scratcher. Imagine wartime Britain. The disappearance of Flight 777 hits them hard. No answers. The vanishing act of this airliner, loaded with VIPs, adds an extra layer of mystery to an already perplexing tale. Boac Flight 777's story, with Leslie Howard, Kenneth Stonehouse, and Alfred T. Chenhalls in the spotlight, keeps echoing through history. It's like a real-life wartime thriller, with an ending that's still up in the air. A haunting tale of intrigue and a missing plane that is still leaving us all hanging. Operation Market Garden, the Allied forces' biggest failure. Operation Market Garden was a large-scale Allied military operation during World War II, conducted from September 17th to September 25th, 1944. Conceived by British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, the operation aimed to secure a series of crucial bridges in the Netherlands, ultimately allowing Allied forces to bypass the heavily fortified Siegfried Line and swiftly advance into Germany. The key figures involved in Operation Market Garden included British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, American General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Lieutenant General Louis H. Brereton, Major General Roy Urquhart, and Polish General Stanislaw Sosabowski. The operation consisted of two main components: Market, the airborne assault, and Garden, the ground offensive. Allied airborne forces, primarily the British 1st Airborne Division, the American 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, and the Polish 1st Independent Parachute Brigade, were tasked with securing bridges and other key objectives. However, Operation Market Garden ended up as one of the biggest military failures on the side of the Allied forces. This failure was caused by several unexpected challenges and setbacks. Firstly, the operation planning was based on incomplete and inaccurate intelligence on the strength and positioning of the Axis forces. The enemy forces were more fortified than the Allied forces anticipated. This made them undermanned and outgunned while trying to secure key positions. Also, the failure of the operation can be attributed to catastrophic logical issues caused by the poor weather and a complete breakdown in the supply lines and communications. This made it hard to keep ground and air forces coordinated. The breakdown in communication also meant that troops could not receive proper reinforcement and backup from air assets involved in the operation. This led to a failure to secure key positions. Despite finding success in some skirmishes, it was not enough to capture and hold key locations. One of such position was the bridge at Arnhem, which was a very crucial position that the Germans just wouldn't give up. The 1st British Airborne Division faced heavy resistance and recorded high losses. The Allied forces' failure to capture the bridge led to their isolation and eventual defeat. The failure of Operation Market Garden was a significant setback for the Allied forces. It resulted in heavy casualties, particularly among the airborne troops. It dealt a blow to the Allies' hopes for a swift end to the war in Europe. The defeat struck a massive blow to the morale of the Allied forces. It also led to suspicions that the intelligence of the attack was compromised. It was believed that German forces intercepted the Allied intelligence on the attack, which would explain how the Germans were able to position their forces in such a way that could repel the Allied forces and defend key positions. How Operation Market Garden went wrong remains a mystery, even if it saw some initial success. If there was indeed betrayal, then it is probably one of the most costly betrayals in history, one that is shrouded in mystery. Shadows over Gibraltar, the intriguing end of General Sikorski. Born in the small town of Tusso Narodowy, Poland, General Władysław Sikorski emerged from humble beginnings, nurtured by the love of his parents, Tomasz and Helena Sikorski. Little did they know that their son would one day become a stalwart symbol of Polish resilience against the tyranny of oppression. As Prime Minister and Commander-in-Chief of the Polish Armed Forces, Sikorski's unwavering spirit and leadership personify the unwavering determination of his beloved homeland, thrust into the heart of war-torn Europe. Among the accolades that adorned General Sikorski's illustrious career was his staunch refusal to accept the imposition of Nazi domination over his homeland. His relentless efforts to mobilize the Polish armed forces in exile and rally international support for Poland's cause earned him the respect and admiration of his countrymen and allies alike. Yet, fate, capricious and cruel, had another design for General Sikorski. In the summer of 1943, as he boarded an aircraft departing from Gibraltar, destiny wove its tragic tapestry. The flight, meant to bring him back to London from a diplomatic mission, ended in catastrophe. Over the waters off Gibraltar's coast, the plane met a fateful end, claiming the lives of all on board, including General Władysław Sikorski. The loss reverberated across Allied nations, casting a shadow of sorrow and bewilderment. The circumstances surrounding the crash remained enveloped in mystery. Speculation swirled and suspicions arose. Was it an unforeseen mechanical failure that led to the tragic crash? Or did the cloak of espionage and covert intrigue conspire to bring down the flight? The circumstances surrounding the crash remained enveloped in mystery. Was it an unforeseen mechanical failure that led to the tragic crash? Or did the Axis intelligence covertly arrange a crash on one of the biggest opposition? Despite investigations by British authorities and subsequent inquiries, the crash's true cause remained elusive. The complexities of wartime intelligence and the lack of concrete evidence hindered efforts to conclusively determine whether the crash was an accident or a deliberate act of sabotage. Deeper mid-levels. The disappearance of Flight 19. Plunging deeper into the abyss of World War II's mysteries, we encounter the bewildering case of Flight 19, a training flight of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers that vanished on December 5th, 1945, over the Bermuda Triangle. This incident was so shrouded in mystery that it spawned another mystery: the disappearance of Flight 144. Flight 19 contained a squadron of 5 US Navy Avenger torpedo bombers who disappeared after flying over the Bermuda Triangle for a training mission. The flight took off from the naval base in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. What was supposed to be a routine exercise became a nightmare for the squadron. The weather conditions were less than ideal, and this led to communication issues with their base, which only led to more confusion. At some point, the flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, was believed to have lost his bearings and felt like he had no choice but to take his squadron deeper into the Atlantic Ocean instead of returning to Florida. Flight 19 sent out many desperate distress calls to the base, indicating they were lost and low on fuel. That was the last communication between the base and Flight 19, which disappeared without a trace. Extensive search operations and research efforts were launched in an effort to find the lost craft. Despite the best efforts of the US Navy, not even the wreckage or debris was ever found. The unexplained vanishing of Flight 19 has contributed to the mysterious reputation of the Bermuda Triangle, sparking enduring fascination and prompting ongoing debates and investigations into what truly happened to the squadron on that fateful day in December 1945. In the aftermath of the vanishing Flight 19, a squadron of 5 US Navy Avenger torpedo bombers, a feverish search commenced to unravel the mystery shrouding their disappearance. Search and rescue teams scoured the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, tirelessly scouring the waves and skies in pursuit of any trace of the missing squadron. Yet, fate seemed to mock their efforts, for instead of answers, the depths of the Bermuda Triangle conspired to deepen the enigma. Amidst the desperate hunt for Flight 19, a chilling twist emerged. A rescue plane, Flight 441, dispatched to aid in the search, suddenly vanished without a trace. The skies swallowed the aircraft whole, leaving behind a haunting echo of a plane lost in the same mysterious realm that had claimed Flight 19. The disappearance of Flight 441 added another layer of perplexity to the already bewildering conundrum of the Bermuda Triangle. The rescue plane, entrusted with the noble mission of locating the lost aviators, fell victim to the same inexplicable fate that had befallen the squadron it sought to save. Rumors swirled and speculation grew. The Bermuda Triangle had woven its dark tapestry once more, leaving investigators and aviation experts baffled. Theories ranged from electromagnetic anomalies to extraterrestrial interference, yet concrete answers eluded even the most astute minds. The search for Flight 19 and the subsequent vanishing of Flight 441 left an undeniable mark on the annals of aviation history. The mystique surrounding the Bermuda Triangle persisted, a realm where the skies seemed to withhold their secrets, leaving a haunting void in the hearts of those lost to its enigmatic depths. The Amber Room, the eighth wonder of the world. Among the many treasures lost during World War II, none is as legendary as the Amber Room. Once hailed as the eighth wonder of the world, this opulent chamber, crafted from amber panels backed with gold leaf and mirrors, was a marvel of Baroque art. Its disappearance during the war has led to one of the greatest treasure hunts in history. Originally constructed in the 18th century in Prussia, the Amber Room was gifted to Peter the Great and installed in the Catherine Palace near St. Petersburg. During World War II, the room was looted by Nazi forces and transported to Königsberg, now Kaliningrad, Russia, for display. As the war neared its end, the Amber Room's trail went cold. The city of Königsberg was heavily bombed, and amidst the chaos, the room vanished. Some believe it was destroyed in the bombings, and others assert it was hidden away, waiting to be rediscovered. The mystery of the Amber Room was captivated treasure hunters and historians alike. Expeditions and research have spanned across Europe, delving into bunkers, mines, and hidden chambers, but the room remains elusive. Was it destroyed, hidden, or perhaps smuggled out of Europe? Conspiracy theories abound regarding the Amber Room's fate. Some speculate it was secretly taken to South America or the United States. Others suggest it remains hidden in a bunker deep in Russia or Germany, protected by those who know its true worth. The Amber Room's disappearance is not just a tale of lost treasure, but a symbol of the cultural devastation wrought by war. It represents the fragility of art and history, vulnerable to the ravages of conflict and greed. Submerging deeper into World War II's enigmatic undercurrents, we encounter one of the most mysterious and debated secret projects of the Third Reich, Die Glocke, or the Bell. This purported Nazi invention is shrouded in layers of conspiracy and sci-fi-like speculation, like claims ranging from anti-gravity to time manipulation. Die Glocke, described in various accounts as a bell-shaped metallic object, reportedly existed within the clandestine realms of Nazi research. The device was allegedly housed in a facility in Lower Silesia, possibly the Wenceslas mine. Accounts describe it as emitting a strong radiation field and filled with a violent tinged, mercury-like substance known as Serum 525. Testimonies and conjectures suggest that Die Glocke was part of a series of high-stakes experiments. It was said to be surrounded by a ceramic cover and, when activated, emitted an effect capable of decimating animal tissue and crystallizing blood. The nature of these experiments has led to a myriad of theories about its purpose and capabilities. Theories about Die Glocke range from it being an advanced anti-gravity device to a time travel machine or even a weapon of mass destruction. Some speculate that it was part of the Nazis' rumor Wonder Weapons program, designed to turn the tide of the war with futuristic technology. Others suggest a more outlandish purpose, a gateway to parallel dimensions or a time-warping device. Die Glocke is often linked with other enigmatic wartime projects and figures, like Victor Schauberger's repulsor technology and Hans Kalmer, a high-ranking SS officer known for his role in secret weapons development. Kalmer's disappearance at the end of the war adds another layer of intrigue, fueling speculation that he may have escaped with Die Glocke or other Nazi secrets. Post-war, the legend of Die Glocke inspired numerous books, documentaries, and conspiracy theories. Its story intersects with the narratives of Nazi occultism, advanced technologies, and the enduring fascination with the other secrets the Third Reich might have harbored. Despite extensive research and investigation, definite proof of Die Glocke's existence and purpose remains elusive. It stands as a symbol of the unfathomable, a testament to the extraordinary lengths to which the Nazi regime might have gone in their pursuit of ultimate power and the lasting allure of World War II's unsolved enigmas. The Nazi Antarctic Base, the Enigma. In 1943, word reached the Allied forces' intelligence of the existence of a Nazi Antarctic base where the Nazis broke code and conducted bizarre experiments. However, these claims have not been backed up by any concrete evidence. While the Allied forces grudgingly entertained the idea that the Axis forces may have undertaken secret expeditions to Antarctica's frigid and barren icelands, they also had little motivation to explore the possibility of these rumors for several reasons. First, It made no tactical sense to have Nazi operations in the harsh, cold Antarctica weather. Secondly, the Allied forces will not risk the precious lives of soldiers to go on a fool's errand to find a top-secret lab that might not exist. I'll admit that those are all good reasons for not embarking on missions to find the Nazi Antarctic base, but that is just one more reason why the Nazis would do that. What better place to hide a top-secret base than where your enemy will mostly not look? The Philadelphia Experiment. The USS Eldridge pulls a Houdini. This is another World War II mystery that is wrapped with conspiracy and intrigue. According to legend, the Philadelphia is said to be an experiment conducted by the US Navy from an undisclosed location in 1943. The objective of the Philadelphia was to render the USS Eldridge invisible to enemy radar by using electromagnetic fields and other classified advanced technology. The Allied intelligence speculated that the project worked. In fact, it worked so well that it broke time and space and became capable of appearing and reappearing at will. These claims were further boosted by some accounts that suggest USS Eldridge vanished and mysteriously materialized at another location. Unsurprisingly, many naval scientists consider this story an urban legend due to the lack of documented evidence. However, it would be short-sighted to discount the theory. Suppose the United States Navy truly succeeded in this project. In that case, it stands to reason they would not want it becoming public knowledge. Also, if the Philadelphia experiment was a success, then it would be harder to prove, because how is anyone going to prove the existence of something that is impossible to find? That is as deep as this particular Iceberg video goes. It has been a roller coaster of exciting and sometimes borderline scary World War II mysteries. The Second World War was a terrible time for mankind, and knowing about the lessons and mysteries is important, so we do not repeat our mistakes. Frozen Shadows, unveiling the enigma of Operation Tabarin. Operation Tabarin was a British expedition to the frigid wilderness of Antarctica. The details of the British scientific endeavor in the cold, barren snowlands of Antarctica remain a mystery. According to reports, there is only one figure outside the expenditure who knew about the Operation Tabarin. A figure who could be male or female, who was only known by the codename Aurora. It was said that Aurora's role was as a liaison between the British government and the major players in Operation Tabarin. The shadowy Aurora was also responsible for gathering intelligence and making clandestine communications, all geared towards the success of the operation. Aurora did the task well. There has not been a whisper of evidence to support the fact that such an operation existed. As the war's end cast its long shadows across the icy expanses of Antarctica, Operation Tabarin's legacy remained a frozen cipher. The truth, veiled in layers of speculation, and the mystique of the South Pole added yet another layer of intrigue to the complex tapestry of world-known clandestine operations. The alleged Japanese submarine off the Brazilian coast. Japanese submarines played a crucial role in the conflict, engaging in clandestine operations, intelligence gathering, and disrupting enemy supply lines across various maritime regions. The Japanese Imperial Navy deployed submarines as strategic assets, conducting missions far beyond the Pacific theater to distant and unexpected locations, such as the Brazilian coast. The strategic significance of Japanese submarines lay in their ability to operate stealthily, conducting covert missions to disrupt enemy supply routes, conduct reconnaissance, and potentially target merchant vessels, thereby undermining Allied efforts. The submarine's long-range capabilities allowed them to operate in far-flung waters, extending their reach across the vast expanses of the Atlantic and beyond. Among the various reported instances of Japanese submarine activities, sightings and reports emerged of submarine presence off the Brazilian coast. Though the full extent and precise purpose of these activities remained unclear, conjecture suggested potential missions involving reconnaissance, intelligence gathering, or even attempts to disrupt maritime traffic in the region critical to Allied supply lines. The alleged presence of a Japanese submarine off the Brazilian coast during World War II was part of the broader strategy to extend the reach of the Axis powers and exert pressure on Allied shipping routes, potentially disrupting vital supply lines crucial for the war effort. This aspect underscores the far-reaching impact of naval operations during World War II, where submarines, including those allegedly operating in distant waters like the Brazilian coast, played a vital role in the broader strategy of the Axis powers to disrupt enemy supply lines and gather intelligence, contributing to the complexities and intrigue of the conflict. The deep level, Marcel Pitoit, the Butcher of France. Marcel Pitoit, born in 1897, was the sinister double life. During the German occupation of Paris in World War II, Pitoit exploited the disarray to carry out a series of gruesome murders. His modus operandi was to prey on people who were desperate to escape the Nazi regime. Taking advantage of their vulnerability, he promised them safe passage out of Paris, charging exorbitant fees for his services. Pitoit set up a fake escape network and established an office where he conducted interviews with potential victims. He claimed to be working for the resistance, offering forged documents and false hope to those who sought refuge from the oppressive occupation. It is estimated that he charged his victims substantial amounts of money, further exacerbating their desperation. Once Pitoit had his victims' trust and their possessions, he led them to an eerie townhouse at 21 Rue Lesieux in Paris. There, he would administer fatal injections of cyanide under the guise of vaccinating them against various diseases. After their deaths, he would plunder their belongings and dispose of the bodies. The scale of Pitoit's crimes is staggering. It is believed that he murdered as many as 60 people between 1942 and 1944. The exact number remains uncertain due to the chaotic nature of the time and the difficulty in identifying all of his victims. Pitoit's gruesome activities eventually drew suspicion. In March 1944, police discovered the macabre scene at 21 Rue Lesieux. The house was filled with human remains. The evidence pointed to a meticulously planned operation. Marcel Pitoit was arrested and put on trial in 1946. During the trial, Pitoit displayed a calm and arrogant demeanor, never expressing remorse for his actions. He maintained that he was a member of the resistance and had killed these people to protect them from torture by the Germans. However, this defense was largely dismissed as a fabrication, and he was found guilty of multiple counts of murder. In May 1946, Marcel Pitoit was sentenced to death by guillotine. His case remains a chilling example of the atrocities that can occur when a charismatic individual exploits the chaos of war for personal gain. The haunting legacy of Marcel Pitoit serves as a reminder of the darkness that can emerge even in the most desperate times. The Child Enthusiasm Program. The Child Enthusiasm Program, known as T4, was a covert and chilling initiative implemented by the Nazi regime in Germany between 1939 and 1945. Under the guise of mercy killings, the program aimed to systematically eliminate individuals with physical and mental disabilities, with a primary focus on children. T4 was officially sanctioned in 1939 by Adolf Hitler himself, who signed a decree authorizing the euthanasia of individuals with disabilities. The program's name derived from the street address of the coordinating organization, Tiergartenstrasse 4, in Berlin. Initially targeting adults in psychiatric institutions, the program later expanded to include children. Medical professionals, including doctors and psychiatrists, played a central role in the program. They were tasked with identifying children deemed unfit for the Nazi vision of a racially pure society. These professionals utilized questionnaires and medical examinations to assess the children's physical and mental conditions. Once selected, the victims were transported to specialized facilities equipped with gas chambers and other means of execution. Many of these facilities were adapted psychiatric hospitals, and the methods used often foreshadowed the larger scale atrocities committed during the Holocaust. T4 was shrouded in secrecy. Families were often told that their children were being transferred to special clinics for improved medical care and treatment. The true nature of the program was hidden from the public, and families were kept in the dark about the fate of their loved ones. The program targeted thousands of children, and estimates vary regarding the total number of victims. It is believed that between 5,000 and 8,000 children fell victim to T4. The chilling efficiency of the program laid the groundwork for the broader genocide that would later be perpetuated during the Holocaust. The child euthanasia program remains a dark chapter in history, illustrating the extent to which the Nazi regime was willing to go to implement its twisted vision of a racially pure society. Jasenovac concentration camp. Jasenovac, dubbed the Auschwitz of the Balkans, was a nexus of unspeakable atrocities. Operated by the Croatian fascist organization, the Ustaše, is brutally towards Serbs, Jews, Roma, and anti-fascist Croatians was unparalleled. The camp's commander, Vjekoslav Max Luburic, was infamous for his sadistic methods, fueling rumors of a man who not only orchestrated, but took perverse pleasure in the suffering inflicted. Estimates of the death toll at Jasenovac vary wildly, ranging from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. This discrepancy has bred a fertile ground for speculation. Was the true scale of the massacre systematically downplayed or obscured by post-war political agendas? Did the Ustaše destroy records to conceal the full extent of their atrocities? The obscurity of Jasenovac and the broader narrative of World War II has led some to speculate about a deliberate veil of concealment. The complex political dynamics of the Balkans and the Cold War might have contributed to a shadowy pact of silence. Was the true nature of Jasenovac's horrors a casualty of Cold War politics, sacrificed on the altar of geopolitical convenience? Conspiracy theories abound regarding Jasenovac. Some suggest that the camp was not only a site of genocide, but also a testing ground for gruesome medical experiments, akin to those in Nazi camps. Others believe that Jasenovac was a focal point for darker, more esoteric practices by the Ustaše, tied to fascist ideology and mysticism. In post-war years, the legacy of Jasenovac have been mired in controversy and denial, especially within nationalist movements in the former Yugoslavia. This denialism has sparked theories about a concentrated effort to rewrite history, masking the true scale and nature of the atrocities committed. Jasenovac stands as a symbol of a genocide that has been overshadowed and, in some circles, forgotten. The war's atrocities, posing questions about the depth of human cruelty and the selective memory of history. Today, Jasenovac is more than a historical site. It is a nexus of unresolved mysteries and dark speculation. Its story is not just about the known atrocities, but also about the whispered secrets and hidden truths that may never fully surface. As we peer into the abyss of World War II's lesser-known horrors, Jasenovac confronts us with the unsettling reality that some chapters of history may remain forever shrouded in the shadows of speculation and silence. Sinking of ships containing prisoners of war, collateral damage in dark waters. In the shadowy narratives of World War II, a lesser-known but deeply unsettling chapter is the sinking of ships carrying prisoners of war. These incidents, occurring across various theaters of the war, have sparked a blend of historical inquiry and speculative intrigue, raising questions about the nature of warfare and the value placed on human life in times of conflict. The sinking of POW transport ships, often unmarked and indistinguishable from regular naval vessels, led to catastrophic loss of life. While officially attributed to the fog of war and misidentification, these tragedies have fueled theories of darker, more deliberate motives. Was the lack of identification on these ships a mere oversight, or a calculated risk taken by military strategists? The sinking of the German ship Wilhelm Gustloff, carrying thousands of civilians and an unknown number of POWs, and the Japanese ship Montevideo Maru, with Australian POWs aboard, are stark reminders of these maritime tragedies. The circumstances surrounding their sinkings have led to whispers of hidden agendas, with some theorists suggesting that these incidents were not just tragic accidents, but cold calculations in the chess game of war. Allied forces, often responsible for these sinkings, faced a haunting paradox. In their efforts to cripple enemy supply lines, they inadvertently caused the deaths of their own compatriots. This bitter irony has not escaped the notice of historians and conspiracy theorists, who ponder the moral complexities and potential cover-ups involved in these wartime decisions. The true extent of these tragedies, obscured by the chaos of war, remains a topic of debate. How many ships carrying POWs were sunk, and how many lives were lost? Could more have been done to identify and protect these vessels, or were they sacrificed in the name of greater strategic objectives? Some conspiracy theorists propose that these sinkings were part of a larger, more sinister strategy to reduce the burden of POWs, or to send a message of ruthless efficiency. Others suggest that they were used to manipulate public sentiment, inflaming the horrors of war to bolster support and justify continued conflict. In the post-war years, the sinking of POW transport ships has been a subject of quiet recognition rather than widespread acknowledgement. Survivors and the families of those lost have often struggled for recognition and commemoration, their stories lost in the broader narrative of the war's immense human cost. The sinking of ships carrying prisoners of war remains a murky chapter of World War II, a blend of acknowledged tragedy and speculative mystery. It highlights the brutal calculus of war, where human lives become pawns on a global battlefield, and raises profound questions about the nature of military strategy and the ethics of warfare. As we delve deeper into the war's mysterious incidents, these sunken vessels remind us of the war's hidden horrors and the untold stories that lie beneath the waves. Soviet soldier life expectancy. The life expectancy of a Soviet soldier during the harshest periods of the war, particularly in the battles like Stalingrad, is often reported as alarmingly low, with some estimates suggesting mere hours or days upon arrival at the front. These figures, while varying, paint a picture of a grim and relentless war machine, where human life was in abundant supply and expendable. Behind these statistics lie deeper, more troubling questions about Soviet military strategy. Was the staggering loss of life a result of poor planning and leadership, or was it a calculated sacrifice in the greater scheme of Stalin's war efforts? The Soviet doctrine of not one step back and the use of penal battalions for the most dangerous missions suggests a chilling willingness to expand lives for strategic gains. Some theorists speculate that the high casualty rates were not just a result of wartime exigencies, but part of a broader, more sinister agenda. Was there a deliberate effort to code the population, particularly of certain ethnic groups or perceived political dissidents, under the guise of war? Or was it a manifestation of Stalin's ruthless approach to both governance and military affairs? The life expectancy of Soviet soldiers also played a role in psychological warfare. The sheer scale of human waves used in assaults had a demoralizing effect on enemy troops. However, this tactic raises ethical questions about the value placed on individual soldiers' lives in the pursuit of military objectives. The loss of millions of Soviet soldiers had a profound and lasting impact on Soviet society. The demographics of entire regions were altered, with long-term effects on families and communities. This loss is often seen as both a testament to the resilience and sacrifice of the Soviet people and a tragic consequence of a war that consumed lives with chilling efficiency. In the post-war years, the narrative around the Soviet soldiers' sacrifice was carefully crafted by the Soviet regime, emphasizing heroism and patriotism. However, the darker aspects of their life expectancy and the true cost of their sacrifices were often downplayed or obscured, leaving a legacy of unanswered questions and speculative theories. The life expectancy of Soviet soldiers in World War II remains a topic steeped in both tragic reality and speculative intrigue. It challenges us to confront the harsh realities of war, the political machinations behind military strategies, and the profound human cost of conflict. As we explore the shadowed chapters of the war, the story of these soldiers stand as a haunting reminder of the price paid in blood on the Eastern Front. Unit 731, going unpunished. Unit 731, led by Lieutenant General Shiro Ishii, conducted some of the most horrifying experiments in human history. Located in Pingfang, China, the unit subjected thousands of live human subjects, referred to as logs, to gruesome experiments, including vivisections, amputations, and pathogen testing. The victims were mostly Chinese, Korean, Russian, and some Allied POWs. After Japan's surrender, the atrocities of Unit 731 came to light. However, in a startling turn of events, the United States granted immunity to many of Unit 731's researchers in exchange for the data they had collected on biological warfare. The decision was driven by the Cold War's onset and the US's desire to gain an advantage over the Soviet Union in biological warfare capabilities. The immunity deal has led to various speculations and theories. Some argue that this was a pragmatic, albeit morally dubious decision in the context of the Cold War. Others view it as a blatant miscarriage of justice, prioritizing scientific gains over accountability for war crimes. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that the US's decision to shield Unit 731's members was part of a larger, more secretive agenda. Was the US interested in continuing similar research, seeing the unit members not just as sources of data, but as potential collaborators in covert programs? While the US opted for immunity in exchange for data, the Soviet Union took a different approach. They arrested and tried some members of Unit 731, although these trials did not receive the same attention as other war crime trials. The disparity in the Allies' responses adds another dimension to the intrigue surrounding Unit 731's legacy. The handling of Unit 731 had significant implications for international law and ethics in science. It raised uncomfortable questions about the value of scientific data derived from inhumane practices and the ethical compromises made in the name of national security and scientific progress. For decades, the story of Unit 731 remained relatively unknown, partially due to the secrecy surrounding the immunity deal and Japan's reluctance to confront this aspect of its wartime past. This veil of silence only added to the mystery and speculation about the unit's activities and the post-war handling of its members. SS St. Louis, a voyage of despair and controversy. The SS St. Louis set sail from Hamburg, Germany to Havana, Cuba, carrying over 900 Jewish refugees seeking asylum from the escalating persecution in Nazi Germany. This journey, filled with hope, quickly turned into despair. Upon reaching Havana, the refugees were denied entry due to sudden changes in immigration policy and political maneuvering. The plight of the SS St. Louis's passengers was a stark illustration of the wider global indifference to the Jewish refugee crisis. Captain Gustav Schroeder, determined to find a safe haven for his passengers, appealed to several countries, including the United States and Canada. However, these appeals were met with rejection as countries closed their borders, citing various political and economic reasons. The refusal to accept the SS St. Louis's passengers has been subject to much speculation. Some theories suggest that this was not merely a matter of bureaucratic indifference, but a deliberate stance influenced by anti-Semitic sentiments within government ranks and a reluctance to escalate tensions with Nazi Germany. Another aspect of the controversy is the alleged conspiracy of silence surrounding the refugees' plight. Theories abound that the refusal to accommodate the Jewish refugees was part of a broader, unspoken agreement among nations to avoid confronting the growing menace of Nazism, possibly out of fear of geopolitical calculations. The SS St. Louis was eventually forced to return to Europe, where various countries finally agreed to take in the passengers. Tragically, many of them ended up in countries later occupied by Nazi Germany, and a significant number perished in the Holocaust. This outcome served as a tragic prelude to the world's later realization of the extent of the Nazi atrocities. The voyage of the SS St. Louis is more than a historical event. It is a poignant reminder of the consequences of indifference and the moral imperative to respond to humanitarian crises. It raises uncomfortable questions about the role of politics in the face of human suffering and the responsibility of nations to protect the persecuted. Today, the story of the SS St. Louis continues to resonate as a powerful symbol of the dangers of turning a blind eye to injustice and the importance of collective action in the face of humanitarian emergencies. As we delve deeper into the complexities of World War II, the voyage of the SS St. Louis challenges us to reflect on the lessons of the past and the enduring need for compassion and courage in confronting the crises of our own time. The bottom level, leaflet wars. The War of Words. Deep in the clandestine layers of World War II psychological warfare lies the enigmatic leaflet wars. This covert battle, fought not with guns but with words and imagery, was a critical front in the war of minds and morale. But beneath their seemingly straightforward messages lay a labyrinth of hidden codes, psychological manipulation, and dark speculations. Both Axis and Allied forces extensively deployed leaflets as instruments of psychological warfare. These leaflets dropped over enemy territories and battlefields contained messages intended to demoralize soldiers, spread misinformation, and sway civilian sentiments. However, the true genius and intrigue of these leaflets often lay in their subtler aspects, hidden messages intended for spies, encoded instructions, or psychologically tailored content designed to exploit specific fears and anxieties. Some historians speculate that certain leaflets were part of covert operations, containing coded messages to underground resistance movements or double agents. Others suggest that they included subliminal messages or were part of elaborate mind control experiments. The long-term psychological impact of these leaflets on both soldiers and civilian populations remains a topic of speculation. Some accounts suggest that certain leaflets were disturbingly effective, leading to instances of desertion, surrender, or psychological breakdowns. Others question the ethical implications of such psychological tactics, especially when directed at civilian populations. The crafting of these leaflets was an intricate art, combining psychologically, cultural understanding, and persuasive communication. Experts in propaganda and psychology worked behind the scenes to create content that could sway hearts and minds. The level of sophistication in these leaflets raises questions about the extent to which psychological research was used and possibly advanced during the war. Peenemünde. Peenemünde, a seemingly innocuous coastal town, was the birthplace of technological nightmares. Nestled along the Baltic Sea, it housed a top-secret research facility where the Nazis developed their infamous V2 rockets. The darkness here lies in the clandestine experiments that unfolded, advancements that paved the way for modern rocketry. The echo of sinister ambition still resonates in the silent halls of Peenemünde, where the ghost of technological terror lingers. Peenemunde's accomplishments in rocket technology were groundbreaking, but whispers in the darker corners of history suggest more. There are theories that the facility might have been involved in developing advanced, perhaps even alien technology. Tales of identifying flying objects and experimental craft far beyond the known capabilities of the era have long been associated with Peenemunde, fueling speculation about extraterrestrial influences or discoveries of ancient, advanced knowledge. Beyond technological experimentation, there are chilling rumors that Peenemunde was also a site for human experimentation. Allegations range from testing the effects of extreme acceleration on the human body to more outlandish claims of attempting to create enhanced soldiers using unorthodox and unethical scientific methods. Some conspiracy theories connect Peenemunde to historic and occult groups associated with the Nazi elite. These theories speculate that the research conducted there was influenced by a quest for arcane knowledge or supernatural powers, aimed at securing ultimate victory in the war. Werner von Braun, the leading figure at Peenemunde, is a subject of intrigue himself. His transition from Nazi scientist to a key figure in the American space program raises questions. Was his recruitment part of Operation Paperclip merely a strategic move by the US, or was it also driven by an interest in rumored unconventional research conducted at Peenemunde? Post-war, the true extent of activities at Peenemunde has remained shrouded in mystery. While the facility's role in rocket technology is well documented, the less tangible legacies, rumors of otherworldly technology, unethical experiments, and connections to shadowy groups persist, making Peenemunde a symbol of World War II's hidden and potentially unsettling histories. Peenemunde, more than a mere footnote in the history of rocketry, invites a deeper exploration into the unknown facets of World War II. It represents a confluence of scientific brilliance and the dark possibilities of unchecked ambition and secrecy. In the narrative of the war, Peenemunde stands as a testament to the hidden dimensions of human endeavor, a place where groundbreaking innovation might have crossed paths with the most profound ethical and existential questions of the era. Stalingrad Bone Fields. As we delve into the darker realms of World War II Iceberg, the Stalingrad Bone Fields emerge as a haunting testament to one of the war's most brutal battles. The Battle of Stalingrad, etched in history for its unprecedented ferocity, left behind more than just a legacy of strategic victory and defeat. It left fields scattered and the remains of countless soldiers, an eerie monument to the forgotten and the fallen. The fields around Stalingrad, now Volgograd, became the final resting place for thousands of soldiers, both Axis and Soviet, who perished in the grueling months of conflict. Long after the battle's conclusion, these fields remained littered with bones, personal belongings, and the detritus of war. a stark visual reminder of the human cost of this epic siege. Amidst the grim reality, speculative theories have arisen. Some suggest that the scale of the casualties was deliberately obscured by both sides, with the true number of dead far exceeding official counts. There are dark rumors of mass graves and unrecorded skirmishes, with some accounts hinting at atrocities committed away from the main battle, lost to history amidst the chaos of war. For decades, the bone fields of Stalingrad were largely neglected, receiving little official recognition or memorialization. This oversight has fueled speculation about a possible concerted effort to suppress the more disturbing aspects of the battle's aftermath, possibly to shape the narrative of the war in a certain light. The bone fields have also become the subject of ghost stories and legends, with local folklore speaking of restless spirits and eerie phenomena. These tales, while undoubtedly embellished, speak to the deep psychological impact of the battle on survivors and subsequent generations, and the human need to find meaning in the face of overwhelming tragedy. Recent efforts to excavate and identify the remains of the bone fields have brought attention to the individual stories of the soldiers who fought at Stalingrad. Each discovery is a reminder of the personal narratives and unrecorded histories that lie beneath the sweeping accounts of the battle. Today, the Stalingrad Bonefield stands as a somber reminder of the war's unfathomable brutality and the individual sacrifices obscured by the grand narratives of history. They challenge us to remember not just the strategic and political outcomes of battles, but the human lives that were irrevocably changed and lost. In the narrative of World War II, the Bonefields represent a poignant, haunting legacy of one of history's most devastating conflicts, a reminder of the stories still waiting to be told beneath the war's shadowed surface. Operation Long Jump. Imagine a covert Nazi plan to assassinate the Allied leaders during a single coordinated operation. This was Operation Long Jump, an audacious and ominous plot that sent shivers down the spines of Allied intelligence. According to various accounts, Operation Long Jump was orchestrated by the Nazis' most skilled operatives, possibly involving infamous figures like Otto Skorzeny. The plan was said to involve a daring commando raid aimed at decapitating the Allied leadership in one swift stroke. However, the operation was allegedly foiled by Soviet intelligence, who uncovered the plot before it could be executed. Historians and scholars are divided on the authenticity of Operation Long Jump. While some argue that it was a genuine plot, pointing to various intelligence reports and testimonies, others dismiss it as a Soviet propaganda or wartime rumors, suggesting it was either exaggerated or entirely fabricated to bolster Soviet counterintelligence credentials. The secretive nature of espionage during the war has led to a plethora of theories about Operation Long Jump. Some speculate that the plot was far more complex, involving double agents and counterplots. Others suggest that it was a misinformation campaign, a strategic ploy by either side to manipulate or mislead. The operation, real or not, highlights the shadowy war of intelligence agencies during World War II. It raises questions about the extent of espionage, the use of disinformation, and the lengths to which powers would go to gain the upper hand in the war. Pigeon-guided missiles. In the secret annals of World War II's military innovations, one of the most intriguing and lesser-known projects is the development of pigeon-guided missiles. This unconventional idea, a brainchild of famed behaviorist B.F. Skinner, represents a bizarre convergence of animal behavior science and warfare technology, wrapped in layers of both historical fact and speculative fiction. The project, initiated by Americans, aimed to use pigeons to guide bombs to their targets. The theory was based on Skinner's operant conditioning research. Pigeons were trained to peck at a target image in the missile's nose cone, with their pecking supposedly controlling the missile's flight path. The idea was innovative, yet it hovered on the edge of the absurd. While the pigeon-guided missile project was eventually shelved, it has since become a topic of fascination and speculation. Some theorists suggest that the project was more advanced and successful than officially acknowledged, potentially leading to secret trials and developments. The project also opens a window into the psychological aspects of warfare. The very concept of using pigeons in such a manner was not only a testament to human ingenuity, but also a reflection of the desperation and unpredictability of war. It raises questions about the ethical boundaries of animal experimentation, especially in the context of military applications. Although never deployed in combat, the Pigeon-Guided Missile Project had a lasting impact on military research, contributing to the exploration of guided missile technology. It stands as a peculiar footnote in the history of the war, symbolizing the era's technological ambition and the sometimes blurred line between visionary science and wartime exigency. In the post-war years, amid Cold War paranoia, rumors persisted that the Pigeon Project was not abandoned, but instead went black, evolving into more advanced and secretive forms of animal guidance. These rumors, while unconfirmed, add a layer of intrigue to the legacy of this unusual project. Sweden, often considered a neutral haven during World War II, conceals a shadowy episode in its history: the forced extradition of Soviet POWs. In a disturbing turn of events, Sweden handed over Soviet prisoners to the Nazis, sealing their fate in concentration camps. The darkness lies in the betrayal of humanitarian values, as the supposed neutral ground became a silent accomplice to the horrors of war. Bat bomb research. Churchill's War Office once entertained a chilling idea: bat bomb research. The plan was to attach incendiary devices and release them over enemy cities. Bats would seek refuge in buildings, causing widespread fires. The dark brilliance of this plan lies in its sheer audacity and the grim reality of turning innocent creatures into instruments of destruction. Fortunately, this eerie experiment never saw the light of day, but the fact it was considered reveals the depths of wartime desperation. Churchill's plan to turn Paris into a battlefield. As the Allies advanced across Europe, liberating occupied territories, Paris stood as a symbolic and strategic prize. Churchill, aware of its importance, allegedly considered the possibility of intense urban warfare in the city, should the Nazis refuse to surrender it without a fight. This plan was reportedly devised to prevent Paris from remaining a stronghold for the German forces. Historians and military analysts have debated the existence and extent of this plan. Some argue it was a realistic strategy, considering the strategic importance of Paris. Others believe it was never a serious option, but a worst-case scenario. There are theories that Churchill's plan was part of psychological warfare, intended to intimidate the Nazi leadership or to prepare for a protracted battle for France. While the plan to turn Paris into a battlefield remains a controversial and speculative aspect of Churchill's wartime leadership, it underscores the complexities and burdens of strategic decision-making in war. It serves as a reminder of the fine line between military strategy and its profound impact on history, culture, and human lives. Churchill's alleged plan to turn Paris into a battlefield is emblematic of the extreme measures considered during World War II. It reflects the desperation, the strategic calculations, and the moral complexities that define the war. As we explore deeper into the untold and speculative narratives of the conflict, such plans remind us of the immense responsibilities and difficult choices faced by leaders in times of war. Bottom level, Yang Qianzhong. Yang Qianzhong, a name that echoes through the fog of war, tells a tale of involuntary participation. Imagine a man caught in the merciless currents of history, a pawn tossed between the tides of opposing forces. Yang's odyssey reportedly began with his conscription into the Imperial Japanese Army. However, Yang's journey took a dramatic turn when he was captured by the Soviets during a battle against the Red Army. While a POW in the Soviet Union, Yang, along with other prisoners, was allegedly forced into service once again, this time for the Soviets, who were known to use captured soldiers as cannon fodder. His service with the Red Army was cut short during the Battle of Khalkhin Gol, where he was captured by German forces. In a final twist, Yang was supposedly pressed into service for Nazi Germany, the Wehrmacht, facing severe manpower shortages, often conscripted POWs. Yang's presence in German uniform was reportedly confirmed when he was captured by American forces in Normandy in 1944. Yang's story, while documented in parts, is shrouded in speculation and skepticism. Some historians question the veracity of his service in all three armies, suggesting it might be an amalgamation of multiple individuals' experiences or a sensationalized account of a more mundane reality. Regardless of its factual accuracy, Yang Hyungjong's story serves as a powerful symbol of the countless lives disrupted and redirected by the war. He represents the faceless millions who were forced to navigate the brutal and often bizarre landscape of World War II, not out of ideology, but sheer survival. The unconsensual kiss in the famous picture. Among the iconic images of World War II's end is the famous photograph of a sailor kissing a nurse in Times Square on VJ Day. However, beneath the surface of this celebrated image lies a darker narrative, one that speaks to the issues of consent and the often unspoken realities of the era. The photograph, snapped by Alfred Eisenstedt, captures a moment of spontaneous celebration. However, years later, it was revealed that the kiss was non-consensual. Greta Zimmer Friedman, the nurse in the photo, described it as a surprise, a man seizing her and kissing her without her permission. This revelation cast the iconic photo in a different light, transforming it from a symbol of joyous liberation to a more complex emblem of the era's attitudes towards women and consent. It challenges the narrative of the war's end as an unambiguously triumphant moment, highlighting the nuanced and sometimes uncomfortable realities of societal norms. The incident reflects the broader context of post-war America, a time of great relief and joy, but also of readjustment and unacknowledged tensions. The non-consensual nature of the kiss speaks to the gender dynamics of the time, where women's autonomy was often overlooked in the public sphere. The story behind the photograph has sparked debates and speculations about its cultural significance. In contemporary discussions, it is often cited as an example of how historical context can reframe our understanding of celebrated moments, leading to a reevaluation of what such images represent. The story of the non-consensual kiss in the famous VJ Day photograph serves as a reminder that behind iconic images often lie more complex and sometimes unsettling truths. As a piece of World War II's legacy, it invites us to look beyond the surface of historical narratives and consider the deeper, more personal stories that they may conceal. Strategic bombing of Axis cities, firestorms, and ethical quandaries. World War II witnessed the strategic bombing of Axis cities on an unprecedented scale. The bombings, including the firebombing of cities like Dresden and Tokyo, were not only devastating, but also raised profound ethical questions about the targeting of civilian populations. The use of incendiary bombs in strategic bombing campaigns created firestorms that engulfed entire cities. Dresden, Tokyo, and other cities were reduced to ashes, with horrific civilian casualties. The sheer scale of destruction and suffering was unprecedented. The strategic bombing of Axis cities raised moral dilemmas about the deliberate targeting of civilians. While proponents argued it was necessary to weaken enemy morale and industry, critics questioned the morality of such tactics, arguing that it amounted to indiscriminate killing of innocent people. Speculation persists about the actual effectiveness of strategic bombing campaigns. Some historians argue that the impact of enemy industry and morale was less significant than initially believed, while others suggest that these bombings may have hastened the end of the war. The strategic bombing campaigns of World War II have left a lasting legacy in the realms of military strategy and ethics. They serve as a stark reminder of the moral complexities inherent in warfare and the need for careful consideration of the consequences of military actions. The strategic bombing of Axis cities during World War II remains a haunting and speculative aspect of the conflict. It forces us to confront the harsh realities of wartime decision-making, where the line between military necessity and ethical responsibility is often blurred. As we delve into the darkest corners of World War II, these bombs are a reminder of the price paid in human suffering during times of conflict. Volkssturm, desperation in the final hours. As World War II neared its catastrophic conclusion for Nazi Germany, a last-ditch effort was made to defend the crumbling Reich. The Volkssturm, or People's Storm, was a civilian militia hastily formed to bolster the dwindling German forces. It was a desperate measure that underscored the desperation and fanaticism that marked the final days of the war. In October 1944, Adolf Hitler decreed the formation of the Volkssturm, calling on all able-bodied men between the ages of 16 and 60 to join the militia. This decree included teenagers and elderly men, a testament to the dire circumstances facing Germany, civilian soldiers, and limiting training. The Volkssturm consisted of civilians with little to no military training, armed with a motley assortment of weapons. They were often ill-equipped and poorly organized, but their sheer numbers made them a force to be reckoned with in the chaotic final battles. In the closing months of the war, Volkssturm units played a role in the fierce battles for Berlin and other German cities. Their involvement marked the brutal intensity of the fighting and the willingness of Nazi leadership to sacrifice civilians in a futile attempt to stave off defeat. The exact impact of the Volkssturm on the outcome of the war is a subject of speculation. Some argue that their presence contributed to delaying the Allied advance, while others maintain that it was a symbolic but ultimately ineffective last stand. The Volkssturm embodies the dark desperation of Nazi Germany in its final moments. It highlights the lengths to which a regime on the brink of collapse would go, even at the cost of its civilian population. The Volkssturm, a civilian militia born out of desperation, is a chilling reminder of the chaotic and tragic final days of World War II. It serves as a symbol of the ultimate futility of war and the devastating consequences of fanaticism. Nixon and Kennedy served in the Pacific. The political rivalry between Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy during the 1960 presidential election is well documented. However, their shared experience in the Pacific during World War II remains a lesser-known aspect of their lives, one that has raised intriguing questions about the influence of their wartime service on their later political careers. Richard Nixon served as a naval officer in the Pacific during World War II. He was assigned to various naval bases, including those in the South Pacific, and played a role in logistics and supply efforts. His time in the Pacific had a profound impact on him and influenced his later political decisions. John F. Kennedy's wartime experience in the Pacific is perhaps best known for the sinking of his PT boat, PT-109, after a collision with a Japanese destroyer. This incident, along with his subsequent rescue and leadership in ensuring the survival of his crew, became a central narrative in his political persona. Speculation abounds about their wartime experiences influenced their later political careers. Some suggest that Kennedy's leadership during the PT-109 incident contributed to his image as a charismatic and capable leader. Nixon's experience in logistics may have influenced his later emphasis on economic issues. The fact that both Nixon and Kennedy served in the Pacific during World War II raises intriguing questions about the personal connection between these two political rivals. While they would later engage in a heated political contest, their shared wartime experiences created a unique bond. The shared experiences of Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy in the Pacific during World War II add a layer of complexity to their political rivalry and the legacies they left behind. Their wartime service remains a speculative and intriguing aspect of their lives, one that invites us to consider how personal experiences shape political leaders. Soviet spies inside the Manhattan Project. Shadows of espionage. Amid the secrecy and scientific fervor of the Manhattan Project, which developed the atomic bomb during World War II, there were whispers of espionage. Speculation has long surrounded the possibility that Soviet spies had infiltrated the project, potentially altering the course of history. The Manhattan Project was a top-secret US research program aimed at developing the atomic bomb before Nazi Germany. The stakes were incredibly high, and secrecy was paramount. Speculation about Soviet espionage within the Manhattan Project centers on individuals like Klaus Fuchs and Julius Rosenberg, who were later exposed as Soviet spies. It is believed that they may have passed valuable information about the atomic bomb to the Soviet Union. The extent of Soviet espionage's impact on the Manhattan Project is unknown. Some argue that it accelerated the Soviet Union's development of its atomic bomb, altering the balance of power during the early years of the Cold War. The allegations of Soviet spies within the Manhattan Project left a legacy of suspicion and distrust within the US government and its intelligence agencies. It also highlighted the porous nature of even the most secretive endeavors during times of intense geopolitical competition. The shadow of Soviet espionage within the Manhattan Project is a speculative but haunting aspect of World War II's legacy. It raises questions about the extent of covert activities during the war and their potential impact on the post-war world order.